Hey everyone, and welcome to the box office rundown for June 22nd to June 24th. Jurassic World was able to go over expectations. In my 118 million prediction, I did lowball with $148 million earned. Despite negative Rotten Tomatoes scores and negative critical response, the movie was able to debut at a very high number, and it was able to get fan acclaim with an A- cinema score. It was still a big weekend, but it was still not able to beat Jurassic World's original first weekend, which was $208.8 million. That's a staggering $60 million over Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. So despite it going over predictions, it was still able to not live up to the hype of the first Jurassic World that came out in 2015. And I think that's just simply because of bad critical response and just, of course, being on top of The Incredibles 2 for its first weekend. Speaking of The Incredibles 2, at number 2 is The Incredibles 2, which suffered a pretty big drop. It was a bigger drop than my 88 million prediction. It dropped to $80.3 million. It's minus 56% in its second weekend, and it was able to just round out to 350 million within its first 2 weeks. That compares to Finding Dory, which was able to do 73.0 million in its second weekend and 76.6 million. And that is definitely just because of how it didn't have much competition in the second week. This easily did. Even I think that they just really over predicted the movie. And Finding Dory was able to be at 286 million at after its second weekend, while The Incredibles 2 is still miles ahead at 350 million. And when this compares to The Incredibles 1, that was able to have a 50.3 million second weekend, taking just a drop in the 20% area, which is staggeringly amazing. It was able to do 74.1 million adjusted, which is just at The Incredibles 2 store. And I think that's just because The Incredibles had such good critical response, and people just went out to see it in its second weekend more than the first weekend, or a little bit less, but still at a good rate. It was able to total out 143 million, and even more than half of what The Incredibles 2 had. But if you adjust it for 2018 numbers, its second weekend is 211 million, which is still pretty far behind, but it definitely shows that it had better holding power than The Incredibles 2. But still, The Incredibles 2 is an unstoppable movie, and it's going to break records, including being a pretty good opening in China, being Pixar's best opening of all time. Number 3 was Ocean's 8, which was able to do $11.5 million in its third weekend, only taking a 39% drop. It just reaches 100 million. It just was able to cross 100 million, and I think it's probably got another 30 million left to go before it kind of totals out. But yeah, this is doing pretty good. I would definitely say that that has good holding power, and it's just because there really wasn't any movies that came out for like a more adult audience, so this was kind of the perfect movie to see, especially if you were in the female demographic, because again, the Jurassic World movies I don't think have a very big men to woman to men ratio. Number 4 this weekend was Tag, which was able to do $8.3 million in its second weekend, taking a 45% drop. And I think that this was a little bit smaller than I had thought it was going to do, but it still was able to just cross $30 million, which I would say is decent for the acclaim, for the critical response that was just not good. Number 5 was Deadpool 2, which was able to pull in $5.3 million in its sixth weekend, taking a 39% drop and just surpassing the 300 million total mark. This is another, of course, a huge headline for Deadpool, as 300 million is a pretty good feat, and I think that it's just going to keep. I think its holds are going to be a little bit better going into the next few weekends, and I think a $330 to $340 million total cum is not impossible. So for next weekend's predictions, this is going to be the 4th of July weekend. But I'm going to be predicting the 3-day weekend because that's just what I'm comfortable with. But my predictions for Jurassic World Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom's second weekend is going to be a pretty steep drop. I think 59% drop to 60 million, which is just a little bit more than The Incredibles 2 drop, but it really doesn't have much competition. But I think it's lackluster critical response. It's just going to cause it to fall a good amount and make The Incredibles 2 yet again a competitive movie in the box office. I think Incredibles 2 is going to fall only 38% in its third weekend with $50 million. And overall, for the 4th of July weekend winner, I'm going to say it's going to be a toss-up. I think it could be either or, and I think that either way, both these movies are going to do good over the 4th of July weekend, but then they won't really have much of a chance because of Ant-Man. Thank you guys so much for coming to the video, and I will make sure to be back next weekend with my predictions. Thank you guys for watching and have a great day.